So we'll take the longest underscore string, str string, and we are passing s as the longest string. Okay. Now what do we need? We need left equal to 0. Okay. Then we need a maxi, which will return the max value 0. Then we need an empty set, and that set is going to be empty, right?
Yes.
Any confusion in question? No. Okay. We need another variable with the name of write. So I'll just directly implement for write in range up till n, and n is basically your n is equal to len of s, right? Length of s up till which your this one will go, your loop will go. Okay. Now, what are we going to test? What do we want? While s of write will contain what? Each character. I'm sending A, B, C, D, then A, B. Okay. This is what I'm sending. So in n, initially n value is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So R value is initially 0. So S of 0 is how much? A, right?
Yes.
I will simply check whether this A in the set, available in the set. If available, what I'm supposed to do, I'll remove that element, right? Right now, if
Yeah.
A is already available, I'll remove it. How will you remove it? From the set. So I'll just update the set. My set dot remove. Okay. And which element? This element is actually at which place? L place, right? If you see, the first element was at L, was it at first place, right? So if I remove this element, I'll increment L2 at B place, right? So I'll just remove the element from S of left. And what do I want? I will increment the left. This one you understood?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if this goes well, then simply, what if the element is not available? I will add it in the set, right? My set dot add, and what I'm going to add? S of write. Because right one was the jumping and we were adding, right? We were just checking whether it is in the set. If it is not in the set, just add it in the set. So the same thing doing here. If it is, it will check, is this value available in the set? If not, then add it, right? And then we'll simply print the maximum one. Maxi equal to max of maxi comma right minus left plus 1. That's it. And then we will return the maxi. Return maxi. Any question, any confusion? And then I'll simply str equal to longest string, and I'll be passing A, B, C, D, A, B. And then what I will do, print str. Got it?
Yes.
So the value is 4. We can check with any number. ABC, ABC, ABB. What will be the output?
ABC, ABC, AB, ABC, 3.
3. 3 is the output. So in this case, we need not to increase the run the new set again and again. In this case, we will keeping the only one set, and instead of removing the whole set, we are just removing the element inside the set.
No.
Okay, just try and test this one out and let me know how it goes from your side. Okay, it's not that much tough, but once you understand this one, basically the way sliding window works, it will be super beneficial, because sliding window is something that a lot of question, if in the further classes we will do a lot of questions which are related to sliding window only. If you are okay with that one, then you can solve a lot of questions with just sliding window concept. Okay, let's move forward. I can even copy this code and paste it in the lead code. Longest substring. Python. String is S. That's it. Let's run it. Login. So all the test cases pass. Okay. And
Yes.
this is, we are running only one loop, right? So in that case, it comes down to be O of n.
Oh.
Got it. And what is the space complexity?
Time complex.
How
The
much?
space.
Hmm.
Oh, I forgot. 2 raised to n or n raised to 2.
No. Space complexity either be 1, which means
Oh,
nothing is getting stored, or space complexity will be n. It means n value will be stored. So you can see
okay.
we are using only one set, right? And we are
Yes.
storing value up to the value of n, right?
Yes.
So the space complexity will be O of
Okay.
n. Okay. Great. Now let's see what do we have in our today's class. So we will cover exception handling, object-oriented programming. From here, the real programming will be starting. From the function itself, it got started, but classes is something that you will see in every organizational code. Wherever you go, you will definitely see in the class part. Okay. For example, if I go, so this is a Python code, okay? Python is open source programming, right?
Yes.
So the benefit of open source, I can take the whole code of Python in my own laptop. the code with which Python was built. And Python then leads to created some couple of libraries, out of which there is one library known as a server. Okay, inside this mypy, so mypy package. So you can see they have used a class, right? And inside this class, all the definitions, means all the methods were defined. Now remember, when you write a function inside a class, it is to be called as a method, okay, instead of function. Fine.
Yes.
Okay, let's start. So before going ahead, any idea what is object-oriented programming? And whatever we did so far, what was that then?
No, I don't really have any
So see,
difference about object oriented.
yeah, so whatever the programming we did so far was a procedural programming, okay? Procedural oriented, which means line by line you go and see the things and do the things.
Hmm.
But in object oriented programming, you deal with the real world entities. What is the meaning of real world? Which means you generalize something and then you take the specific of that. For example, when I say that Hari bought a car, what will be your next question? You will ask which car he bought, right? So when I
Yeah.
say car, it became generalized. But when you ask which car, I need to specify. There comes the object-oriented programming, which is what dealing with the real-world problem. So what I will do, in function, what is the main basic work of function? That do some specific task, right? But what if that the same task is getting repeated again and again? Are you going to create a function again and again? No, right?
Hmm.
For example, there is a class, okay, and that class contains the number of students. So what happened? Every student's number name is different and their average will be calculated different, right? Right now.
Yes.
So in that case, what I'm going to do, I'll create a general class of general a class of those students, okay, where the but same kind of entity which is common among everyone, like the name, roll number, and the marks. And that inside that class, I will create a function which will do the average task. But printing of the name and printing of the roll number, that is what, for that, do you require this one? Do you require a function for that?
Yes.
No, function does some
Hmm.
task. You do not
Hmm.
require any function for just printing the name and the roll number, even though you can do it in the class, but you do not require. So function is something now, sorry, class is something which binds all these things into a single package. Functions, which is the method, along with the variables, which is known as a data. So data and methods both are compiled together in a class. And when you create an object, for example, Suresh. So Suresh is a specific student of that class, and he has the roll number 21. So Suresh 21. So we are specifying over here. So Suresh became an object, whereas class became the student. Got it?
Yes.
Let's specify more. Okay. So as I said, let's take a car. Okay. And the attribute that I'm going to define over here is a whatever the inside variable are actually known as an attribute. Okay. There are two types of attribute, object attribute and class attribute. We'll come to that one later on. Okay. So one attribute wheel is 4, and inside that I'm defining a function drive self. Now what is the meaning of this one? Let's just copy it itself. Contain a lot of discussion. Okay. So when you define anything in the class, that is known as the class attribute. For example, any variable if you are defining, that will be known as the class attribute. Okay. So when I write this class as this one, and here what I'm going to call, this is your class name, right? Very first thing, remember, when you write a class, the name first letter should always be capital. Okay, you cannot have this one. I cannot write this. It is considered to be wrong. If it is a class, you always give a capital. Start always with a capital letter. Okay. And this class, this is basically, see, the class itself says this is a class of car. And I'm putting in a variable known as my car. Okay. Now so my car became an object right now. It could be my car 1, my car 1. Okay. And you can print the my car 1 value. That is the wheel, and my car 1, who is the driver. I can create another object with the name of my car 2 with the same inheriting the car class, and I can print different over here. Okay, I can create another class, def name. I'll tell you the meaning of self also. Self, and then print super driver. Okay, and there I'm going to print my car 2 object 2 dot, I'll call the different function, name function. Okay, so here I'm calling the name function. I'll just print it. Okay, oh, this one print function is good. Passing anything, not. Simply if I print this one, because print I'm already doing over here, so no need to print under print. I'll simply call the function that is the super driver. Okay, now see, let's understand one by one each part. Understood what is attribute? This is known as the class attribute. Okay. Here, what is the object here? Can you tell me?
Drive.
No, drive is a function inside your car class.
Oh.
So my
So
car
my
1
car.
is the, yep. Because object is getting changed every time, right? Just like a student name, you can change it every time.
Yeah.
But the general one, the blueprint one, they are inheriting everything. Okay. And both can call a different function that's totally independent of it. Okay. Now this is the one thing. Now see, every class comes with one name as constructor, okay, which is known as the init constructor. Whether you call it or not, it automatically get called. The moment you create this one, my car, it get automatically called. So if I have to show you, suppose I'll just, okay. If I just print this one, it's not going to print anything, right? Because I'm not printing anything. But this one is actually creating a object. So this class is actually getting called, but here there is no way we can see it. And I told you, constructor is something that always get called whenever the object get created. And that is known as a default constructor. So if I write def underscore underscore init underscore underscore, and then if I do just print function, okay, running. And now again, if I'll run it, so okay, just let me do a small thing. So see, even though I only created car, my car one as an object, but I did not call the print function. I did not call anything. Did I call anything? No, neither wheel nor any of this function, nor init function also I didn't call, right? But it automatically printed, hey, I'm running. What does it mean? That this is whole a constructor. First of all, init, if it is init, it's a constructor. Okay. And since I'm not providing any parameter, it always takes a one parameter. Okay. You always have to provide one parameter to the this one constructor. And that parameter is known as self. Then what is the meaning of self? Self meaning the object is got created. Whenever you create any object, always self will be there. That's why even in this case, self is there because object got created. In this case also self is required because object got created. So you have to always mention self whenever you're defining any function inside a class. That is very, very important. Now, if I show you any code of the previous one, like the Python open source code, and any of the function you pick up, see, visit unbound type self is as the first default parameter. See, every function includes self. Why? Because they are defined inside a class. The snapshot type visitor class. Understood the meaning of self?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. So this is known as default constructor. There are basically two types of constructor, default constructor and parameterized constructor. So if I have to car, okay, and I can do that. What else? Mhm. Suppose I want to print a name of that car. Okay, simply I want to print a name. So how will I print a name? I'm just passing a name from here. My car one. Okay, and I'm passing a name as suppose Lambo. Lamborghini. Okay. So this I wanted here, but is it containing any parameter right now except self? No, right? So I'll just give a parameter with the car name. Now I want to have this parameter over here. So I'll just do, if I'm doing any operation in the object, I have to write self dot name equal to car name. And I can print over here as well. Mhm. Simply my car name and uh, car name missing one required positional argument as car name. Self car name, spelling is wrong. No, spelling is correct. See if I can directly pass over here the value. Lamborghini, this is going inside and then I'm just printing my car over there. And what is the name I want to print? Name. So see how the things are going on. When I mention car, okay, and what I'm calling the default constructor. So right now it is the moment I'm passing any value, it is known as a parameterized constructor. So when you pass any value through the class name, it always go inside this constructor. But before it goes, it will check whether you are accepting any value or not. I'm accepting one value as a car name. So it will pass that car name inside this one, not inside the self. If you mention only the self, it is a default parameter. But if you mention any other name, that consider comes under the parameter. And now what I want to print this one. This is known as object attribute.
Okay. Mm.
And the first one, this is known as a class attribute. If you define in the class level, it's a class attribute. If you define it in the object level, it is known as an object attribute. And what do I want to print? I want to print this name because car name is getting stored inside what name? Name. So I will print inside this one. Now, most of the people, what they does, they don't want to get confused because if they are passing name, they want to consider it as a name. So generally they keep it name
Yeah.
and here also they take the value as name. So self dot name equal to name. That's it. Again, the same output. Hey, I'm running and this is Lamborghini. Got it?
Okay.
Any question you are having, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay, let's go back to our slide. So you understood how do we call the function, how do we call the class attribute, how do we call the object attribute, what is constructor, though we go inside the constructor. But so far, have you understood classes and object only? How do we create the object and how classes are defined? These two part is clear.
Yes.
Now the constructor, so there is always a one constructor that is known as a init. Okay. Self is the name that you give. Apart from that, any other parameter you can provide. Okay. This is known as object attribute or instant attribute also you can say. So I told you as people, most of the people consider, you can give any name, you can consider any parameter name, but generally people go with the name that they are using along with the self. So init run automatically when the object is created. Even if the first line if you write, this will get created, initiated. So used to initiate the instance attribute with the starting value. So whatever the value you provide, it will get initiated with that one. And what does self refer? Self refer to the specific object being constructed. That is the S1. If you write self, it means object has to be there. You cannot consider without object. So every new student call trigger its own constructor. So every time a new student would get created, suppose this is Asha. Again, a new student will come as Roshan. So again, this self constructor get triggered and the output you will get like this. Got it? What is constructor? If anybody will ask you, how will you define in Python?
Constructor. How I define
Yeah, how will you define?
uh, self-oriented or like that.
So first of all, basically it's a function, right?
Yes.
You can call it a method. So constructor is a method which always get called whenever object get created.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. Now, this one, did we come to this? We'll come back to this one later on. Okay, derogators. Pretty small things. Let's understand few more things in this one. We printed the constructor name and all. Class attribute, object attribute is clear. What is object attribute?
We will define in a function.
Defining the function. Nope, object attribute. So variable which is written inside the function, inside the
Function.
function. Okay, that is known as the object attribute.
Okay.
Okay. What else? So let me just remove it. Suppose what happened? Let's create a function. Let's create a class with a student name. Okay, and you have to calculate the average score of the student, whatever the student you mention. So suppose I create a one class. Okay, with the name of student. Okay. You can define or you cannot init function. When will you define? When you need any parameter. So self will always be there, but if you need any further parameter, as I said, I want to suppose print the average marks and student name. So what do I need? I need the marks of the student and the name of the student. So I'll take the name and I'll take the marks. And what I'm gonna do, I'll do self dot name equal to name and then self dot marks. Doesn't matter how many parameters you define over here. Every parameter need to be comes along with the self. Max. Now I need a function which will basically does nothing but to calculate the average only. avj underscore st average student. And since this function is not going to accept anything, but still it where we will write self because object is going to be created. Now to create the average, we require the sum. The initial value of sum is this much. If for val in how many subjects self marks, right? Suppose they give the, we are asking about 3 subject marks. So each subject mass will be taken over here. And then we'll do simply do the operation over here. Sum plus equal to val. If you get confused in any of the line, just let me know. Okay. And then we'll simply print the average marks, right? So hi, we'll give the name of the student self dot name. And then what do we want? Hi, suppose Roshan, your average which is comma, and then what do we want? Average, which is nothing but sum divided by, if we are taking 3 subject marks, it will be 3. That's it. Now let's create the object s1 dot, sorry, s1 equal to student. Now how many parameter we are passing? Name and marks. So give it a name, suppose Roshan. And then marks. Marks I'm going to provide as a list. 60, 70, 80. Got it? And simply I'm going to print. And print function is already here. So I just need to call the function, right? S1 dot, which function I'm going to call? Average. And that's it. Let's run it. There is a syntax error. Marks. Did we give any extra character? It's a function, so give the colon. So, hi Roshan, your average is 70. Okay.
Okay.
So understood, how do we call the class?
Function.
Basically, we
Yeah.
created the object. We call the object passing the object value
Class.
along with the marks. Now, if I have to create another student, I'll just give S2. S2 is equal to student. And then another name, suppose Kiran. And then marks is 89, comma 7, and then simply call S2 dot. That's it. Hi Kiran, your average score is this.
Hmm.
Got it? Any question?
Yes. No.
So understood, how do we define a class? How do we define an object? How do we define
Yeah.
the constructor? Okay. Great. Now, object-oriented programming itself includes a lot of 4 pillars. Okay. So these 4 pillars are basically inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, and abstraction. Right? Do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay. So see, inheritance. So inheritance is basically when you take any parent class, this one, data into the child class data. So one class I have defined as an animal, okay, and def speak. Again, a function got created and the function is printing some sound. Another class got created, which is dog, and that dog is actually inheriting the animal. Def speak self, and then I'm printing bark. So with this one, see, D is the object of which class?
Which one? D.
Yeah, D is the object of which class?
Dog.
Dog. And D is calling the function as
Speak.
speak. So what will be the output?
The dog speaks.
I mean, are you sure? Dog speaks, how that will come? Will it print the bark or will it print the some sound?
Bark.
Let's run it. And it printed the bark. Suppose I give as speak 1. Is this correct?
Yes.
Why?
Because no. Because D is defining the dog, but D dot speak one is
So
defining
D
the
is the
animal
object of
class.
dog and speak 1 is a method inside the animal class, right?
Yes.
Let's print. See, it is printing some sound. How is this possible? From the object of dog, I am printing or calling the method of animal. It is possible because
Okay.
we are inheriting the
Uh,
animal
Animal
inside
class.
the dog. Okay, so in this way, I can access the methods or the variables data, even if I write was lex equal to 5. And I can do d dot lex. So it is giving me 5. And which is the attribute of which class? Class animal. But I'm calling through the object of dog. Got it? This is what inheritance in a
Yes.
simple way is termed as. Then comes your polymorphism. So polymorphism is actually inheriting the character of multiple classes. You can see I have a class cat, I have a class as cow, and for animal in cat and cow, animal dot speak. So speak is actually, what will be the output? Can you tell me?
Which one?
This one, what will be the output of this code? Can you tell me?
Mm, meow and moo, both.
Both. Polymorphism itself is a very long discussion required. So meow and meow, both. Why? Because it inheriting the character of both the classes, right? And both are getting a store on it. So since I'm printing, I'm using the for loop to print both the character. If I have to just print one character, I would have done with this only animal. So animal is the object of which class?
Cat and cow.
Cow. So generally it is considered to be as a child, and these are mom and dad like this. People also consider it like this. Okay. All good? Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Then comes our encapsulation, which basically says the binding of all the bundle of data and the method together inside one class. So we have already seen it. Okay. So see, there's one thing only to notice over here. Now you must have noticed this one, underscore underscore and then balance equal to balance. What does this mean? It simply means a private. So remember we have two types of variable, private variable and public variable. Okay. So if
Yes.
you want not to expose your password or the balance account to the different class or the different this one object, so that if I create a equal to account, and what I'm doing, I'm just taking the balance as this one, and then I'm printing. Print what? A dot. Which function should I call? Uh, Simply this one, right? This attribute if I want to see. But see, it is giving you error. Why? Because account has object, no attribute has defined hyphen hyphen balance. But the moment I'll remove it, now if I try to print, it will print it. Got it? The moment I do hyphen hyphen, it became a private. Private means it is only accessible to these functions which is inside the class itself, not anything, not the object outside. But here you tell me. Mhm, mhm. If I call the deposit, that's 5 only. What will be the output? Can you tell me? Just let me just make it a simple one. 100.
105.
How much?
105.
It's printing none. So none, because we have not printed this one. You can unprint this. Uh, so the private, we can't even print it. Print. No, you can't print it. Since these are private, so you're not even allowed to print it. You can use this private element to do some calculation, okay, and further give the result. If I do self dot amount, and for now I'm just amt is equal to amt plus balance. Self dot balance. So what will be the output? And print self dot amt. This is going to be 105. Okay. But I guess we can print this one too. I just did a small mistake. Print self dot underscore balance. Now this is correct. I missed that self. So if you are defining any parameter inside this function, always define with the self. Now if I run it, see 100 also got printed. So you cannot access directly, but you can access this variable private one inside the function itself. Okay. Or you can call this private variable directly to the other function, and you can call that function to get the value. Got it?
Okay, yeah.
So that is what encapsulation, which is nothing but the binding of the all functions along with the variables itself. Abstraction. Any idea what is abstraction?
No.
So abstraction is basically hiding. Okay, you basically hide the data which changes. Suppose this one here, I create self dot balance as false. I let me know. Let's take a value as test, and what I'm doing, self dot test equal to false. Okay, but after over here, I'm just doing self dot test equal to true, and I'm calling only what, self dot this one. So now tell me, account AF100, missing one parameter, this test. And just now, did the value of self dot tested got printed over here? No. But the value of self dot tested got changed in this function. Yes. Hello.
Yes.
But did you see the change over here in the
Mm,
output section? No. Internally, it got changed from false to true, from false to true, but you are not seeing the output over here. That is what the abstraction means. You change the value parameter and everything inside the function, but that does not reflecting it outside, even though internally it got changed. So abstraction basically means expose only the essential behavior, hide the implementation detail. Okay.
okay.
So, and also if you want to create a class which cannot be initiated, and basically every class must be implemented, means you don't want to use that class, but you just created that class or kind of a function which is not going to be used or just to be used inside this same this one same class, then you can use abstract method. So this method is basically does nothing, just define a class. It defines a class but does nothing. I'm just using the pass keyword to pass it. Okay. Further you can define it over here, but here I'm not defining it. So just give it a derogatory. This is known as a derogator. We'll have a different discussion on this one. Okay. Apart from this, any other confusion? Abstraction,
No.
polymorphism, inheritance, and the what else? Abstractions. All clear?
Yes.
So few things is left. That is the exception handling. This we will look in the next class. Along with that, derogators. Okay, this part.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll do one more question. Fleet code. Got it.
Okay.
So come up with a question. Try to do this some classes questions by yourself. The more you will do the hands-on, the more things will be get when you will give the interview, it will be much more easier for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.